Remember Adam said that we need a jingle. Howdy everybody and welcome to the Praise the Pickle News Podcast. Where
the news.
This is your weekly news roundups where we're just going to talk about everything that's happening in the video game industry for the last week, and little Mr. Daniel has told me that there is a lot of news today, so brace yourselves.
Listen to his beautiful voice.
Exactly. I am your host, Mr. Benjamin Watts. I'm joined by Mr. Daniel Watts.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir. And I'm also joined by Mr. Kevin Hart.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
I hate you.
Dan, take it away.
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 We go.
Away we go.
And away we go.
Oh, why couldn't I'm just gonna be like straight up honest here. I'm bare tired, and there is so much that has happened this week that I kind of wish it hadn't happened. So like, can we just pretend the coronavirus didn't exist, and can we pretend that
Please.
Everything is normal and the next gen consoles are already out? Because those are the two main themes this week. We're going to be talking about some next generation stuff, and we're going to be talking about some coronavirus stuff.
Hey, people are here for their weekly gaming news, so just man up.
Of course,
and
this is people's number one destination.
Well, it bloody should be. All right, so
it should be, because this is some top class professionalism.
This is
journalism.
Shit,
that's the word. This is the shiz. Yes.
Go. Stop complaining.
Oh, okay. The first one that I have. Fuck's sake, I'm fluffing this so hard. Oh, there's so much. It does. You know when you're like, okay, I'm just gonna get on with it.
Start from the top.
So start from the top. That's a good idea. The GDC.
Yes, I've heard of it.
There we go. I got a word out. The GDC is the Games Developers Conference. They have now announced that they're going to reschedule their recently cancelled / postponed event for August.
Yay!
In San Francisco.
That is not
No.
Yay. At the same time, EGX Res have announced this is the one that Wii U was supposed to headline.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Have rearranged for early July, even more optimistic than GDC.
Can't make early July now. Who's going to headline it now?
Yeah. Well, can you not actually make it in July?
Depends.
Let me guess. Another holiday. You're flying somewhere again, right?
No, that's in September.
For God's sake. Oh, I haven't got any money. Oh, I'm going to Barbados next week.
Can't buy any games.
Oh, I'm sorry that I'm going to places.
Well, get your priorities straight. We have
the only
to go
place you
through
people
this.
are going are imaginary land.
Yeah. It's way better than real land.
What? Was that actually your comeback?
I mean, yeah.
Imaginary Land episode title, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, clearly GDC and EGX are reading different news to what I'm reading, because as far as I'm aware, this year is basically a write-off, and
yeah, so that's September holiday, Kevin. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to happen. And to be honest, I'm a little bit pissed off in the nicest possible way, because I want my money back for EGX, but because they've rescheduled it, I can't get my money back.
I'm sure you can ask for it back if you just say you can't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I would still prefer to go to EGX, so I'm going to remain slightly optimistic. But if it gets like a month before and we're still in bloody lockdown, then at that point I'll be like, nah, just give me my money back. I mean, the other side of this as well, though, is that all of these places have moved to an online platform now. So what are they going to be showing? Like, everything that was at EGX is now on the Steam indie thing, where you can play demos for all of them. So all the demos that were going to be at EGX are now on Steam now anyway. So
That's a good point.
It's just a bit like, I don't really see the need. Granted, I would prefer to play them there, but like, what's the point in it now? I don't quite get it. There's nothing exclusive anymore, It's just a bit, very optimistic on their part, in my opinion. And I don't understand why GDC are even bothering, to be honest. Like, their big thing is all the massive console announcements and stuff, and Xbox and PlayStation have done it now, so...
I kind of wonder whether it's something to do with them just sitting on a big stockpile of money as well. Like, if they're sitting in the profit, it's free interest, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wonder if they're just trying to hold on to it for as long as possible, I
mean, what interest? Haven't they cut interest to, like, a record low or something?
Probably, yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway.
Cheeky bit of news for you. Next bit is that... cheeky is that... I'm going to get his name right this time. Masahiro Sakurai. This is the Smash Bros. Guy, not the Nintendo guy.
Are you sure?
Yeah, double, triple check this time. Don't want to offend anyone. He put out... So he writes in the weekly Famitsu column, which is basically the Japanese stock market write-ups, I think. I don't know. Something like that. He's dedicated his recent column on how COVID-19 is impacting the game industry in Japan. A couple of things that came out of that were that there are fears about upcoming games because game development is inherently a bit of a confidential industry.
Yeah.
So one of the major fears is that people working from home makes a lot of the stuff they're working on extremely vulnerable to leaks. So he's basically worried about, people working on new Smash characters, for example, and that information just being easy to get hold of. But obviously that's the same with any other game that's been developed in Japan or around the world, really, as well, is that people working from home are much more susceptible to losing information. They can't just go into the office and take a hard drive home. I think it's happened before. Wasn't it one of the Lord of the Rings films that was being transported to like a screening place or a production place on a disc or something, and the person that was transporting it lost it or dropped it, and it ended up like being out on the internet
Very
way
smooth.
before it was supposed to come out. That sort of stuff used to happen all the time.
That's like Frodo losing a ring. Ridiculous, isn't it?
That's
Very
fucking terrible.
You imagine he gets to the edge of the volcano, and he reaches into his pocket to finally get rid of the ring, and he goes, "Oh fuck!"
He does that little pat down thing you do when you're looking for it. He goes, "Oh shit!"
Hey Sam, you ain't seen the ring, have you, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I get that side of it, the leaks stuff, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, who cares?
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff as well.
I know, but leaks aren't really that big of an issue, are they? Like,
well, they are for an industry that kind of relies on hype. The economic downfall to projects not being kept secret could be quite substantial. Like they could really get hurt by that.
Could they?
I mean,
what? I don't understand what. Logically, I can't understand why information being leaked before it happens would have any impact economically on a...
Well, it's about timing it, isn't it? Like, if you were watching... It's kind of hard to explain.
I do see what you mean. Yeah.
I think there is.
Like, you want the hype train to be, like, running at the right times.
Yeah, because if you're seeing, like, the very early progress of, say, Witcher 4, or whatever the new Witcher game is going to be now, then 2 years down the line, if you've been watching it the entire way through, and you're just seeing every single stage of it, and you're seeing all the tiny little changes and upgrades that they're making, and the stuff that they're adding in, 2 years down the line, there's a lot of people that just aren't going to give a shit anymore. That kind of initial excitement has worn off, and then it's like, oh, just hurry up and bring the fucking game out. Like,
also, like if you have a team working on a specific character or a certain thing in a game. You have them making an announcement, a big thing about it, and then when it comes to actually releasing it, if everyone knows about it, one, they're not going to click on it, and they probably won't get whatever the views are for that specific situation.
It's all about that hype train, man.
Yeah, and it's about the hype train. Imagine, I don't know, something really extravagant like Pikachu entered the Mario world, for example.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if that got leaked a lot
Kevin
beforehand,
has dreams, man.
if that got, if you heard that and that was released in such an epic way, people would be like, oh yeah, oh my god.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If you just saw like a little like image of Pikachu like thunderbolting Mario or something, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. But by the time it comes around to it, the whole idea is dead.
Yeah. I mean, the perfect example is Fortnite, isn't it? Doing that the season 2 thing, like that was hypey as hell the way they did that, and it would have been even more hypey if it wasn't leaked before.
Yeah, that leak kind of killed the excitement for what it could potentially be.
Yeah.
It's all the people's ambitions and ideas of what it could be. Just like the lead up to the next gen consoles, people were like, oh my god, imagine it could do this and it could do that, and the PS5 could come with a built-in VR headset that comes as part of the package, and just speculation really. And it's community engagement as well. It's all the people talking to each other and the communities building out of it, and people discussing it with each other and just talking about it and vocalizing their thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
That's all really valuable stuff. We're digressing quite a lot here, but yeah, hype is important and confidentiality is clearly quite important, and it's impacting people. There's other stuff as well, like he's had trouble apparently visiting publishers and people from different offices around the world. He was saying that his business trips, for example, Nintendo headquarters is in Kyoto, and he doesn't live in Kyoto, he lives in Tokyo. It's only a couple of hours away, but he can barely get there. He can't jump on a bullet train and just turn up in a couple of hours. He's kind of locked in, so he can't go to business meetings. This is the same for all companies, obviously, but so it's just, I think it's important that people know what's happening in the game industry. He's saying it's going to have a massive knock-on effect. Like, he can't even meet publishers. He had a meeting booked with another publisher about introducing a new character, supposed, I guess, for another series of some kind. And that meeting just couldn't go ahead at all, which is obviously another roadblock in the way. So if it's affecting things like this, just little characters in Smash Bros, imagine how it's affecting some other big games that are in development. Yeah. So basically, he's saying just keep an eye out, because lots of stuff that's supposed to be coming might be taking a lot longer than you think, even if companies aren't verbalizing it.
Speaking of games taking a lot longer than you think, do you guys reckon Last of Us 2 is going to come out like when it's supposed to? Because it's smack bang in the middle of this massive pandemic, and I just don't see it happening.
If that's the case, then surely the majority of it should be done by now, shouldn't it?
True.
It might be slightly delayed by like a month or so, but if
I
that's the case,
wonder whether they're going to delay it on purpose, though, because of...
They can use this as an excuse, can't they? That's the thing. Now that this is happening, I'm not saying that companies are doing that maliciously, but now that this is happening, I think they can get away with giving themselves a bit of extra time.
Yeah.
See, I see it for gaming industries. Both, there's a positive or a negative to it, because the positive is that people are at home. People are going to be playing games more now. They're going to be looking for the next game they want to be playing with their time, because they can't do anything outside. But on the other hand, people are going to start running out of money, and people are going to be saving their money because they can't work, or they're going to have lost their job, or their whatever economical.
I think this isn't a news article, but I think CS:GO had its highest ever numbers, or one of its highest ever numbers the other day, and I'm sure a lot of other games are having the same impact.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the the sales figures for like Doom Eternal, like the opening week would be, considering, because physical copies is the issue, because like people can't get a hold of physical copies in a lot of places because of delivery services not running and shit like that. So
yeah, maybe. I mean, saying that, the next news story is that Final Fantasy VII, they've announced that some people won't get their physical edition on the release date because of all of this. So that's a mini news story. So yeah, there will be issues like that. I don't know if people will switch to digital instead and cancel their pre-orders, or how that's going to work. But I guess the issue is we don't really have a comparison point. We can't say, this is what it would have done if there wasn't this Corona stuff, and this is how it has done, because of it.
Mm.
So it'd be hard to tell. Overall, it'd be interesting to see how the economy, or the game economy in particular, fares out of this. Of all the industries that might benefit out of it, besides toilet rolls and sanitation products, there's a chance that the games industry might do quite well out of it. But
it could be, yeah. Anyway, go on. Yeah, next story.
The UK's it was, wasn't it? Should we boost the gain on that and like pump it through people's speaker systems?
Kevin's good at boosting gain, isn't he?
Oh, funny man! Even though I wasn't the one that did it.
Yeah. So if anyone listened to the podcast in the first few days last week, like the first few days after it released, Kevin decided to boost his gain by about 10 decibels. So
because Ben decided to take over and help me for a little bit, and he decided to.
No, I just thought it was interesting. You know, the first time that you edit that you boost the gain on your own voice is just interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've told you the reason that possibly would have happened is because I can't ever get a word in these podcasts, so I have to put my voice louder than everyone else so they can actually hear me.
Maybe you should just man up and interrupt instead of just being a little pansy.
You know what? I heard that. You know what I told you about that little moment that happened last week about me trying to get a word in 4 times in a row, and I got interrupted every single time.
Yeah, well, interrupt us back then. Stop being a pansy.
I tried to interrupt you back, but I'm not rude like both of you. So
can you say pansy anymore?
I don't know what pansy means. What does pansy mean?
I feel like you're not supposed to say that anymore. Oh. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Isn't that a type of flower?
Isn't that posy?
Oh, maybe.
Oh God, let's quickly move on, just in case that is a banned word.
Let's find out. Go on, yeah.
It's all right. The week before, I forgot to put the.
Yeah, no, it is a flower. Don't worry. Stop being a flower, Kevin.
Stop being a flower.
Bloody snowflake.
That's all right. I forgot to put the jingle in the week before, so hey.
Yeah, but
apologies for the 20 seconds of silence at the start. I should fix that at some point. Where are we? Final Fantasy VII was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, all these companies are obviously cancelling their events and postponing and whatnot. But the UK's biggest game development conference, which is called Develop Brighton, is going ahead as normal.
Wait, what? Nah, it's not. Surely not.
I mean, it's in July.
No, it's not happening. No, there's no way.
No, well, they're insistent that it's going ahead as normal. Their statement says that we are monitoring the situation closely, and that we are working towards holding the event as planned. However, we will be evaluating the situation on a daily basis. Blah blah blah. Same old.
Yeah, but isn't there another massive one like in somewhere in Europe that's going ahead as supposedly as planned as well, which is just like, I can't remember which one it was. A massive conference that I can't even think of the name of.
Yeah, I think you're right,
But yeah, like the thing you have to remember is that E3 said this 2 weeks ago. Yeah, like E3 said the same.
DreamHack, wasn't it?
Oh, it might be DreamHack. Yeah. And but remember, E3 said exactly the same thing a few weeks ago, and then within 5 days it changed because they monitored the situation and realised they can't fucking do it. So
yeah,
the same thing's going to happen with these. They're just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it because they don't want to have to deal with the amount of work that it's going to cause, basically, and the amount of economic downfall that it's going to cause. That's the reason why. They're going to push it to the very last minute when they literally realise that it is impossible for them to do it, and then at that point they'll change it. The same with EGX as well. EGX was 2 weeks before it was supposed to happen that they postponed it.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I mean, it's hard not to imagine whether we would have gone or not had the event continued to go ahead. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't have, no. Oh, it's in a week's time.
Ben.
Dan, it's in a week's time. I'm on lockdown. I'm not leaving the house for 12 weeks.
Yeah, it's a good point. Not a chance.
So, don't think I was going, no.
Yeah. Alright, let's talk about Gamestop.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys heard what Gamestop have said recently?
Yeah. They're going to stop games.
And this is why you never get a word.
Exactly. This is why we don't let you have words.
I had a guess.
Keep your words to yourself.
Do you know what happened, Ben?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'll see myself.
Yeah.
What happened?
Kevin's
What happened, Dan? Dan, what happened?
Yeah, damn. What
Kevin's a
happened?
journalist. No, the only reason Kevin doesn't keep up to date with the news is because he loves me reading out to him so much.
It's
his
because
favourite
Kevin
part of the
uses
week.
Praise the Pickle as his weekly source of gaming industry news, just like you should be.
I actually do though. I know,
Yeah. So GameStop, amidst this crisis, should we call it that? Should we call it a crisis?
I think
Pandemic.
we're at the point where we can call it a crisis now. Yeah.
Can we call it an apocalypse? I like that.
Outbreak. Outbreak seems to be the word that
they
they were using.
Outbreak. I mean, it is an outbreak, isn't it? You
I
can't
hate it.
call it that.
I despise that word. Like, it needs to be banned from the dictionary.
Oh my god.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, what happened?
I'm just letting that soak in a bit. So GameStop are a video game rental chain in America, basically the same as Game is here in the UK. And amidst the crisis, during city lockdowns, etc., they have emphasised that they are classed as essential retail alongside groceries and pharmacies and should therefore be exempt from enforced closures. Due to the products this is their statement, due to the products we carry that enable and enhance our customers' experience in working from home, we believe GameStop is classified as an essential retail. As an essential retail? There shouldn't be an "and" there. As essential retail, and therefore is able to remain open during this time. And this is in a memo to staff the other day.
It's bloody.
Yeah,
it's Reggie's fault, isn't it? It's got to be.
Oh yeah, he's taken over. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, he's on the board of directors, but yeah, no, it's just a load of bollocks. It's just GameStop are in the same position from what I understand from listening to American podcasts. GameStop are in a similar position to what Game are in here, where they're basically clinging on by the end of their fingernails onto not going under, basically. And funnily enough, Game have done the same thing here. Obviously, there haven't been enforced enclosures. Isn't that prison? Enforced enclosure. Forced closures here yet for that type of business. But they've basically put a statement out saying we're open as normal. And not only are they open as normal for their retail side, their arenas are also still open.
That's mad.
Which is absolutely insane, because that is the one of the places that should be closed, like, straight away. Like, that's one of the...
touching other people's mouses.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane.
Next to everybody wearing the same headsets.
Yep, it's completely bonkers. And their argument is that they've improved their hygiene to help combat the coronavirus. It's just a load of shit, man. I mean, I don't even know why they're bothering, because no one's going to fucking go anyway. Everywhere's a ghost town over anyway.
That's what I find weird. That I think it's so unfair on people that are working these retail shops.
Yeah.
It's so unfair.
Yeah, so at GameStop in America, right, they've literally had this memo printed out at stores, and when police or sheriffs or whatever, I don't know how it works over there, go to say that you need to close down, they basically present them with this memo saying, no, we are essential retail, so we're not closing. So they're making staff present this to law enforcement, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, they're being told that law enforcement need to call corporate headquarters, and corporate will explain it to them and basically argue their case with law enforcement. So that's how serious this is. Like, they're literally going around to all the different businesses and shutting them down and saying, you're basically on curfew, you can't be open. And they're going, nope, we're exempt. So interesting. You say that they've increased their hygiene in game. GameStop have said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's another copy and paste public announcement BS, though, isn't it? But,
it is BS.
Yeah, whatever. So we've increased our hygiene. We improved our hygiene. I've got an email from every single fucking company on the planet, right? Just everyone that I've ever done any sort of business with, and I have an email from them saying we've improved our hygiene. I'm just like, for God's sake! Like, even my gym are like, we've improved our hygiene. I'm like, really?
I am not coming to the gym. Sweating all over your equipment.
Gym. Thank you very much.
Everyone's just wearing like gloves.
Yeah, everyone's in full hazmat suits. Oh, that would be a wicked sight.
Well,
anyway, go on.
Since the initial article came from Kotaku, but since then, Entertainment Weekly have been in touch with GameStop, and they basically managed to interview a load of employees about how they feel about it and all this sort of stuff. And between the Kotaku updates and the Entertainment Weekly quotes here, there's some really interesting statements that have come from staff. So obviously GameStop have said we're going to be extra hygienic, we're going to put all these different measures in place. Here's a few statements. Quote, thus far, I've seen little to no measures taken from corporate, and I certainly haven't seen any suppliers to prevent further outbreak, said one GameStop supervisor. My colleagues and I are sharing a small bottle of hand sanitizer that was purchased through our own pockets, as well as making as much usage out of a depleting bottle of all-purpose cleaner as we can. We were only just given permission to turn off console demos yesterday, and my cleaning supplies have been back-ordered for 2 months. As far as more immediate measures go, the stores in my area have received nothing either. So, this store in particular, at least, has no sign of any extra hygiene whatsoever. On top of that, another quote: We were enabled to go out to purchase these items ourselves and have them expensed, said another GameStop store employee. At least in my store's regard, it's virtually impossible to find the items that we need to adequately clean and sanitize the stores and keep ourselves as safe as we can. Another store says, our store is completely out of toilet paper and had to close their restroom because suppliers responded to their emails saying that they were not shipping to stores. Another one says many associates are fearing losing their jobs because store leaders and district leaders are telling us internally that if we stay at home and do not supply a doctor's note verifying that we are being ordered by a doctor not to work, it will be classed as an unexcused absence. So they're being forced to work in unsafe environments without the necessary supplies to keep it safe. There's a few.
Yeah, well, they think they're so clever, but they're going to get absolutely fucked over from this. All they have done is brought a fudge ton of negative press their way.
Mm-hmm.
And like, are they aware that lawyers exist and things like that? Because after all this blows over, these people are going to,
rain hell upon them.
Yeah, like, they're going to get completely fucked. They've done the wrong thing entirely. I don't know what the situation with Game here are because we're not on lockdown yet. That's the key thing, right? Is that the only things that have been ordered to close here are bars, restaurants, cinema, any late night activity pretty much, plus gyms and stuff like that. So retail is open as normal here, but if Game did the same thing here, there would be an absolute war. Like, there is no way, man. I'm curious we'll try and get some insider information from James, yeah? Yeah, we got
quite good, actually.
Yeah, we have a friend who works in Game. It'd be interesting to...
No, he doesn't anymore, does he?
Well, he works in the arena, doesn't he? So...
No, I think he's left his job.
Has he?
Yeah, he's left everything.
Oh, shit, okay. Yeah. Scratch that, guys. No more insider
So
information.
much for our source.
Oh, friend!
Yeah, inside scoop, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's completely insane. They're going to get fucked for this. Like,
There's already protests. Lots of people are going out of their way to avoid them and boycott them completely now, which is totally fair, I think.
Yeah, completely.
There's also they said at some point that they're going to be encouraging people to use their online services rather than their brick and mortar stores. But isn't the obvious way to do that just to shut the store down and then people don't have a choice?
I mean, they can't be getting any business anyway, surely. This whole thing is basically they don't want to send people home and have to pay them, but they know that if they send people home and don't pay them, then there'll be a war. So they're basically saying, no, you have to stay, but they can't be getting any business. If everything's on lockdown, you really think people are going to... It's just not going to happen.
I know it sounds really bad, but I just think companies should just pay everyone the standard sick pay. At least that way you're getting something, but you're not giving him anything. I mean, look at Richard Branson.
It doesn't work, though.
That's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
Like, what if a company needs customers to make the money to pay their employees, but doesn't, and they don't have customers, therefore they don't have money, therefore they can't pay their employees?
I get that. I mean, I work in payroll myself. I've spoken to a lot of a lot of my clients, and they've said that they don't know what to do because they need to have their shops open to sell, but there's no customers. So all that's going to happen right now is basically we're going to go bust. So I can imagine a lot of my clients just disappearing come after this pandemic, this whole thing, because because they just don't have the. But I think employers are just so in like they basically have no idea what to do.
No, but
they don't know what the answer is.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
This has never happened before. Nobody knows what to do. Even the government has got entire boards of experts, you know what I mean, dealing with this, and they don't know what to do. Like we're kind of winging it at the moment. We're trying to work it out. I don't think the answer is to just give everybody money. I don't think that. I mean, the government's already stepping in and saying, look, we're going to basically up everybody's benefits. We're going to help as many people as we can. We're just going to, take from the magic money tree and give people everything they need.
Well, no, it's not being taken from the magic money tree. It's been taken technically from us because all the interest rates have been cut and that money is being given back to us. So what would have been our money anyway is now being given back to us. So it's kind of weird, but yeah.
Anyway, that's not gaming related. It's a whole
this happens
other
every
topic.
week now.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on. Next news story.
Well, there's a couple more bits I just want to say on that, which is the GameSpot. Words.
That one.
GameStop responds with an official statement saying that the whole thing was taken out of context. What we actually meant was this. Quote, while GameStop is best known as a provider of gaming and home entertainment systems, we also offer a wide array of products and devices that are important to facilitate remote working, distance learning, and virtual connectivity. As millions of Americans face unprecedented changes to adapting to virtual learning, working, and interaction, there is a significant need for technology solutions. Blah, 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 blah. Schools, businesses, and families are now suddenly dependent on being able to connect through technology. They go on to say, we believe that we can have a positive impact during this very challenging time. The health and safety of our employees and customers is of utmost importance, and we will have to continue to take extensive precautions to consent with guidelines, etc. We are complying with all ordinances. They're not, but that's what they say. And we'll continue to adjust to any future developments. It's bollocks, basically. It's all lies. It's all rubbish.
We sell webcams, therefore we're essential.
That's basically what they said.
That's exactly what they're saying. Yeah.
So you can communicate with your loved ones from a distance.
Yeah, but they also have online retail there. Like, if you have an online system, there is no need whatsoever to put your staff at risk. Do you know what I mean?
No. And they would do it, if it was just for that reason, they would do it in such a strict manner. If they were genuinely trying to be like almost charitable, like they're saying, like so many other companies are doing right now, like genuinely trying to help, then they would set up some sort of system where they can sell discounted webcams over a very secure way. They board up the shop, but have like a little window with a guy in a mask that would like hand over to you the things. And you know what I mean? Like they would... They would actually cater for that specific thing, not just say our game shop's going to remain open because we sell keyboards and people need keyboards. It's like
if you're really trying to help, the community, there are ways that you can do it without endangering your staff. That's the most important thing here. Yeah. You don't need to do that. It's completely unnecessary. If you really needed it, if you really wanted to help, put your tech on sale online or something. And,
they do that.
And that's it. But that's it. That's all. No. As in on sale, as in discounted online.
Yeah.
Do something like that if you really want to help. If that's what you're implying you're doing. You're not brave warriors for fucking. No, we will persevere for you guys. Don't worry. And it's like, but you're not a charity. You're not doing anything. You're not volunteering here, guys. Like, you're just forcing all of your employees to work in dangerous environments to sell fucking webcams. Anyway.
Yep. Nice rant. I like that. That was good. I'm going to slowly move away from this corona stuff. I say this every week, and I have done for like a month now. I'm so bored of talking about coronavirus. I get that it's a serious issue and it's all the rage at the moment, and it's, not something to be taken lightly, but I'm so fucking bored of it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Agreed. I think everyone is, to be honest. But it's just the news.
It's the news. The Steam Game Festival, I think it's the second time they've done this, is basically acting as a GDC replacement for the indie titles that should have been at GDC and had to miss their spot for obvious reasons. And it's basically worth checking out.
It's so good, man.
Yeah, if you're a Steam player, PC gamer, I guess, then go on Steam and just look at some of the games that you can try and check out. Tons and tons of cool demos.
I've played 2, I think, so far. But it's going to be finished by the time people hear the podcast because it's only this weekend, isn't it?
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we hope you did check it out.
We hope you enjoyed it. It was a cool thing to do. Go on, Kev.
You should be following us on Twitter and Instagram because we'll tweet it out, and if you're following us, you'd know about it all.
And if you weren't following us and you missed it, then that gives you more of a reason to follow us so that you don't miss things in the future.
There we go.
At Praise the Pickle.
It's good laugh, Kev.
Anyway, cool demos. Let's branch into some more positive things. Independent Games Festival. They didn't do it online. It's usually part of GDC. Sorry, they didn't do it physically at the show because obvious. However, they did an online award ceremony instead, and we got some winners here. So let's talk about some of the winners.
Nice.
Do you mind? Of the Independent Games Festival awards, we've got the best student game, which is a game called Boredome.
Boredome.
Can't say Boredome. Yeah, BORE space DOME. Boredome. It won the best student game. I'm just going to fly through these. I'm not going to stop on too many of them. Audience award is A Short Hike, which I still highly recommend. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and that is currently free. I'm hoping it still is by the time the bloody pod comes out. On Epic Game Store. So
you have to get it now. Download it and play it later.
If you haven't got Epic Game Store, man, just get it. And every week just check because they just give loads of free stuff away, no strings attached whatsoever. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty cool, isn't
it?
Yeah. Excellence in Audio is a game called Mutazione.
Oh yeah, that's the one that I wanted Kevin to play.
What does it look like?
It's a what's this thing called? Independent Game Festival. It is a story-driven side-scroll, simplish sort of graphics. Kind of looks like it's coloured. Yeah.
With the really quirky characters.
And guess what? That is also free on Epic Game Store right now. So there you go.
99% like this video game of Google users.
Nice.
Thank you, Kevin.
Cool. It also won the award.
9 out of 10 on Steam.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's on. It's been on my list for a while because it came. I think it came out on Apple Arcade first. But
it did.
Yeah, so I wanted to play it for a while.
That is cool. Nice. Anyway, we got excellence in narrative, a game called Heaven's Vault. Excellence in design, Patrick's Parabox. Excellence in visual art, Knights and Bikes. Nuovo Award, I don't know what that is. The Space Between. Swemmer's McNally Grand Prize, don't know what that is. Is A Short Hike again. Wow, A Short Hike won 2 prizes. That's cool. The Game Developers Choice Awards, we have Best Debut, Disco Elysium. Innovation, Baba Is You. Best Technology, Control. Best Narrative, Disco Elysium. Best Audio, Control. Best VR AR game, Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series. Best mobile game, What the Golf. I'm actually tempted to get that on Switch because it looks quite good.
Yeah, it's quite fun apparently.
Best visual art, Control. Best design, Babbit Is You.
Do you have to say Control like that every time?
Yeah. I just like to rub it in like a balm. I don't know. Like a balm.
Yeah.
Best design by Raju. Audience Award, Sky Children of Light, which I'm still dying to play and apparently is confirmed for Switch now, which I'm really excited about. Those people made my favourite game of all time.
They did.
That games company. Can't wait. Anyway, Game of the Year, Untitled Goose Game.
Nice. Kevin, how do you feel about it?
I feel as if it makes me want to play Control more.
Oh,
Me too.
I want to play it. I genuinely want to play it again. Problem is, yeah, but it was so shit. I just can't. I can't comprehend the idea of sitting through that shite again. Yeah.
It honestly, it just intrigues me. I feel like it'll be something good. No, I think it's different watching it and playing it.
Yeah, it's significantly worse playing it.
Yeah, but you haven't got to sit through it yourself.
Yeah. Trust
I'm
me.
dying to play it.
Just trust me, man.
Also, Disco Elysium picking up a lot of awards. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's appreciation for that game, which Ben doesn't have.
Why? Why are you picking on me? Just because I think Control shit. Okay, everyone just get off my case, alright? I like good games, unlike some people.
Which is saying Disco Elysium's not a good game.
Never said that. Let's talk about Control.
Then why aren't you playing it?
I will play it when I get around to it. Right. I'm currently in mini game mode.
And Untitled Goose Game will always have a place in my heart.
I still want to play that, man.
I'm surprised they haven't had a map pack or something for it, or an expansion.
I think they're working on a new game, you know. Yeah, also I hear.
Untitled Moose Game.
Oh, that's a great episode title.
I would play that. That sounds really good. Indie. Let's talk about Indie Direct. Another little showcase of indie games that are coming out. This is the Nintendo show that usually comes just before Nintendo's main Direct show,
which will be coming on the 27th, next Friday.
Is that confirmed?
No.
Oh,
it's my guess.
Don't do that to me, man. I managed to catch this live, which was pretty cool. They had some pretty interesting titles, actually. Some of them we've seen before, some of them we have not. We have Blue Fire, which looked really cool. It was like a 3D platformer type thing.
It looked like it had sort of Ori style, interesting traversal mechanics, but in a 3D world.
Yeah. Like you could run across walls and wall jump and bounce off enemies and use. And it also had some really interesting like environments and boss design. It had this kind of neon eerie feeling to it, but just quite colourful and well lit. It looked really good. These are all coming to Switch as either timed exclusives or as I think they're all timed exclusive. I don't remember any of them saying that they were cross-platform from the get-go. Although Elder Souls. Actually, some of them are already out on PC or other consoles. Never mind, ignore that statement. Some of them were already out.
Most of them were either timed exclusives or exclusives, but some of them were ports.
Yeah, all of them will be on Switch.
Well, I mean, what else would they be on? It's a Nintendo Direct.
That's true. It's a Nintendo Direct coming to the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah. Anyway, go
on. The next one was Boldo, which looked really cool, right up your street, Ben. Ghibli inspired.
Oh
game.
yeah, no, I saw a trailer for this ages
stunning.
ago. It looks so good.
Yeah, so we just got a new trailer and a bit more info. It looks really, really good. I Am Dead looks intriguing, I guess.
Yeah.
It looks interesting. It's a sort of puzzle game where you play as a museum owner, I think, but you're dead and you have abilities where you can interact and explore objects in the real world. A really kind of flat coloured 3D world.
Yeah, it looked
cool
okay.
Style.
Yeah,
I thought it looked interesting. Bark is a family-friendly side-scrolling shooter.
That's a bit weird.
I don't remember that one. I don't actually remember it at all. Sorry, Bark people.
That one kind of like one of those space games. You only play like bullet hell space games.
Yeah.
Where you play as
What's
dogs,
the family-friendly bit all about? Oh, okay.
I think.
Oh, yeah. I vaguely remember it. We have a Cyanide and Happiness game coming out called Freak Apocalypse,
which I'm well up for.
The game itself looks really fun. The presentation of the game was so cringy. It was awful.
Yeah.
I think but it was just not funny and just kind of horrible to watch. The whole live action thing with the animated character, yeah. The game itself looks fun. Gave me like South Park, Stick of Truth vibes.
Yeah, very much so. But I mean, I love Cyanide and Happiness, so that's the sort of game I wanted them from the start. I didn't want that Battle Royale thing that they did before. Not that it's really my choice, but yeah, looks good.
Yep, does look good. Summer in Mara. Pretty cool game about protecting nature. Quite a Stardew
This
Valley
looks nice,
farm,
yeah.
city building,
As long as
sort of
it's
stuff.
more along the lines of Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, and not towards the My Time at Portia side, then yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, that game was awful. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's got the whole day-night cycles and lots of citizens to make friends with and all that. You got Quantum League, which is a weird-looking one. It's a multiplayer Overwatch-ish shooter type thing, where you are joined in the game by echoes of yourself. So, like, time-shifted echoes. So, apparently it's a bit mind-bendy. It's hard to understand, but I think it's a one-on-one, I think.
No, it's 3v3.
Oh, is it? Okay. Are you sure? 3 actual live players?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, but what I understood was you and your opponent run towards each other, have a gunfight, and then it resets, and you start again, and you run into the combat again. But when you run into the combat, the first 2 copies of yourselves can play out the actions that you played in the previous round. So, for example, if you just run straight towards each other and shoot each other, in the second round you can run around and shoot the first copy, but their second copy might predict that and run around and shoot your second copy or your first. It's really hard to explain.
Really confusing.
It looks really
quite
confusing.
Cool, though. The concept's quite cool.
Interesting. Yeah, the fact that it's on Switch is a bit unusual. So, wait, I think it's on PC already. You know this one.
Oh, all right. It's just basically on the second round, you can kill the player from the first round to prevent that outcome from happening. I think.
Yeah, something like that. It is on Steam. There's a free open beta on Steam right now. Let's check it out. Quantum League coming to Switch. Sorry, I'm spending too much time on this. I'll fly through these. The Good Life is a Sweary game who made Deadly Premonition, apparently. About people turning into dogs and cats. Oh yeah, this is the one where you play as a cat and you play as a dog. I think at one point
it looks terrible.
It looks weird as hell.
Yeah, it looks like god awful. I can't believe that even got a shout out from Nintendo, to be honest. But
it looks weird.
Yeah.
Although there was a game in the PS2 where you actually played as a dog, and I think it was based on a movie, and it was really good. You could get like the smell-o-vision, and you could sniff things out. It was a lot of fun. Anyway,
maybe for the time. Dan, maybe for the
time. We got Pixel Junk Eden, which looks weird. I think people really like the Pixel Junk series. I've never played any of them. The stages are generated in real time based on your actions. It's like a side-scrolling musical sensory experience sort of game. All generative art and stuff. Looks interesting. There's Fira or Fera. I don't know. Feria.
I've played this. It's quite good.
Feria. Living board game.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's like it's basically a blend between Hearthstone and a tile-based board game.
Yeah, I've seen the screenshots. It looks interesting.
It's quite cool. I quite enjoyed it, and it's got like a full single player to it as well, which is quite nice. It's not just competitive online stuff, but
it's got hex-like mechanics, right? You move around on the
board. Yeah. So it's like a card game, board game hybrid thing, but it's quite interesting. And all the tiles are different, like lands and stuff. Yeah.
I feel like I haven't got enough time for another board game at the moment. I'm playing too many things like that. Anyway, we've got Sky Racket, which is a shoot 'em up where you bounce projectiles around with a tennis racket. That came out on the day. We've got Eldest Souls, which is a game that we played at EGX.
Yep.
It's like a boss rush hack and slash game.
It's pretty damn good.
I mean, it is pretty damn good. It's got Souls in the title, and it is also quite Dark Souls inspired in the combat, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, it's kind of more along the lines of like Hyper Light Drifter. But
okay, yeah, fair enough. I haven't played that.
Yeah. Or like
Really good.
Transistor or something, or Hades or something like that. More dashy and stuff like
isometric. Yeah. Really hard. Really hard.
Yes.
But very good. Amazing pixel art.
Yeah, Kev, you'll like this one. Play the demo for it this weekend. It's on the Steam Jam thing.
Alright.
Nice.
It's,
Eldest Souls.
yeah, well up your street. It kind of looked like, you know that game that we wanted to play we couldn't get working on my computer, Titan Souls game? Oh, that's got Souls on the title as well. It's kind of like that, but like we played it at EGX last year. It was really good, man. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, definitely a standout. Last ones are Moving Out, which we played again. It's a Team 17 game, kind of like Overwatch. A lot of fun to play with friends. Not going to go into it, but worth looking at, definitely.
Did you say kind of like Overwatch?
Did I? Overcooked,
Oh.
I meant. Yeah. Good. it's definitely
quite different
like
to Overwatch.
Last game is... Well, there's two others. Right at the very end, they announced Exit the Gungeon, which was released on the spot. So straight away, you can go on Switch. They announced Exit the Gungeon, which is the follow-up to Enter the Gungeon, which Kevin spoke about last week.
Yeah.
So the sequel's out. To follow straight on from the first one. It's basically about getting out, I guess, rather than going in.
Well, yeah, Enter the Gungeon's a top-down Binding of Isaac style room thing, whereas this one is a side scroll.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's still bullet helly,
Still got
but like side scroll platforms and shit. It looks quite cool. But, yeah.
And the last one, which I haven't spoke about, which was about halfway through the presentation, was finally some more of the Last Campfire, which is made by Hello Games, who made No Man's Sky, obviously. And it looks great. It looks so good.
Does,
just
man.
really nice, wordless narrative, it seems. Good choice of music for the trailer. Again, fit really well. Just lovely, beautiful visuals, interesting looking puzzles. Sean Murray actually does a little bit where he talks about what the game's about.
And he's as awkward as ever.
Awkward as ever. Compassion, empathy, and finding hope, apparently. It's out this summer, confirmed. And last I heard, it's being worked on by a team of 2 or 3 people. So I love that. I love how polished it looks and how like a passion project and personal it seems to be. I'm excited about that one. I'm very, very excited about that one.
Hell yeah.
And the little sizzle reel as well. Blair Witch Project is coming out on Switch. Who cares?
Nobody, because it's a pile of shit. It's nearly as bad as Control.
Bounty Battle. Oh god, that's harsh, Ben. Bounty Battle, Dicey Dungeons, Ghost of a Tale.
That looks
Sky
really
Chosen
good,
of Light.
that, by the way.
What does Ghost
of a Tale? Yeah, you play as a little rat.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Also,
yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, and there's another game called Sky that looks pretty good.
Yeah, Sky Children of Light is one of my most anticipated games. Looks awesome because it's by that game company who have made some of my favourite games, which I've already said this episode. I've just realised. Superliminal looks great. I haven't played it yet. Again, there's a demo for this, I think.
Is there? I've been waiting to play this game for ages. It got I swear, honestly, years ago, the idea, the trailer of this game came out, and it's been like floating around for ages, and it's finally coming out.
Yeah, this game's been out for ages. What are we talking about?
Wait, is it?
Come to Switch, I think.
Yeah, Superliminal's been out since like halfway through last year or something. But
that's probably why I've been seeing it in places.
Yeah, but there is a demo out for it, and it looks really interesting. I mean, Kev, I'll play it because you need to play more games, so play it.
And the last one is Wingspan, and I'm going to move on from that story to talk about less indie things. Sorry, Wingspan. I can't remember what the game was, if they ever listen to this. I'm sure it looked brilliant and everyone should buy it. Let's talk about Next Gen.
Yeah.
I need a break.
Wingspan was like a little like card game type thing where you
about
select between birds.
watching or something. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. It looked really
about
good.
Monster Couch. Did you say that? I can't remember.
I didn't say that, but
No.
thank you. Okay, Next Gen. I need to get myself prepared for this one.
Here we go, guys. Prepare to hear loads of things with numbers and letters and random things that mean nothing to anyone except for Dan. Go.
I don't think they made it for me. I'm gonna try. I'm not an expert in computer hardware at all, but I'm gonna try and explain some of the stuff that maybe wasn't very clear based on my own understanding.
All right, here's what we're gonna do, Dan. I know you probably got a plan for this. We're gonna call this segment Dan's Next Gen Roundup. All right. I want you to go through the specs of the Xbox and then the specs and features, if you want to call it that, of each, yeah? And then give your verdict as to which one will be better. Go.
Xbox.
Kevin's put his vote in, Xbox. I'm going to say on par.
Alright. Let's start with the Xbox, because they were first. They did it in an interesting way. They actually got people, various YouTubers and influencers, into the studio to handle the Xbox, look at it in person, take the entire thing apart, put it back together again with assistance, obviously, and less cables, and showed them lots of demos in live time. So it was a really in-depth kind of hands-on experience. Let's talk about the processors, or the CPU, which is a Zen 2 8-core 16-thread processor. Zen 2 is the latest in AMD's processing architecture. It's a new way of making processors, which basically allows there's lots of custom engines and things involved with it, and lots of other improvements, but it basically allows much more to fit into a much smaller space. That makes it a lot more efficient. 3.8 gigahertz locked on all cores, or 3.6 locked. The reason for the lock is, so generally that speed will go up and down and fluctuate quite a lot depending on temperature and other variables. Microsoft have said that they're not going to do that. They found a way to keep it basically at full throttle all the time, which means it's going to be that they're aiming for a consistent experience across all devices, no matter what your environment is. It's just going to be the exact same power level, exact same experience on every single device, which is pretty cool. The big number that everyone's been talking about is the teraflop number. For Xbox, it's 12.155 teraflops. That's on paper something like 2 and a bit times more powerful than the Xbox One X, which is currently the most powerful console, I believe. And that's basically a calculation of how much it can compute in a certain period of time, basically put. So we'll talk about the
teraflops. Is that a makeup of all of the hardware?
No, it's just it's
like, is SSD included in that, basically?
No.
Okay, all right. Continue.
Not necessarily. It's like a multiplication of the clock speeds and the I can't even remember how you calculate it. It's a arbitrary number. Let's not worry about it too much for the time being, although everybody seems to be. The graphics processor, different chip entirely, is a custom RDNA 2 based AMD processor again. RDNA 2 is again the latest and greatest next generation architecture for GPUs. On top of the graphics processor's basic power, it's got lots of other new advances such as VRS, which is variable rate shading, which basically means
we've gone through these before.
All right, fine. I'll just stop.
No. You went through the VRS and the other one.
Okay, well, it was talked about a lot, so I'm going to mention it anyway.
Go on, then. I'm going to stay out of this.
The VRS will basically, it uses clever thinking machine stuff to render whatever it needs to render. It knows what should be shown on the screen, and it does some clever stuff with that. You got to bear in mind that all of these technological advances, like VRS and like these different boost clocks and stuff like that, all allow us to get more performance out of the machine overall, and that isn't necessarily taken into consideration with this teraflop number that everybody's going on about.
Yes.
So all these little features, I guess you could call it, next generation features, I think the important bit that we need to talk about. And then we've got the 16 gigabytes of memory total, which is 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 graphical memory, basically.
Which is insane.
Which is, yeah, but it's, you got to remember that it's the same. In your computer, you've got a graphics card with GPU, GDDR memory on it, right? Which is maybe, what have you got, maybe 6 or 8 gigs or something in your machine?
8.
I'm not sure. 8 gigs in your machine, but on top of that, you've got, 8 gigs of normal RAM or something?
16
gigs of normal RAM. So this is kind of all of that bulked into one, so it doesn't have RAM. This.
Oh, really? I thought it had 16 gigs of RAM and 16 gig video card.
This is the total memory of the device. It doesn't work the same as a PC does.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
2.5 gigs of that.
Kevin's just at home, just nodding, like, yes, quite.
You know what? You could honestly be talking like French right now, or Spanish, or any other language.
I'll try and simplify it a little bit.
Dumb it down even more than you already have done.
Computer fast.
Make shiny graphic. So what they actually showed was a Gears 5 port to the console, which was made in 2 weeks. So it wasn't optimized. There was nothing, extra clever stuff done to it. It was just a straight up port. They got the PC version. They upped everything to ultra, max settings across everything. Switched on ray tracing as well, which is sort of global illumination ray tracing. And then ported it to the Xbox. It's really cool that it could do that in 2 weeks, first of all. And basically it ran at the same performance as a 2080, which is one of the latest graphics cards on the market, which is, I think, about, £700 to buy right now?
Yeah, roughly.
$900. And that's without any optimization whatsoever, like a slick 60 FPS or something like that, like at 4K. So that's a really good sign for a 2-week port, which is using none of this new technology at all. They talked about the machine learning, which is used for really clever upscaling of stuff, but we won't talk too much about that. It's just really cool. We've got hardware accelerated ray tracing, which is the first time we've ever seen this in an AMD graphics card. If you don't know what ray tracing is, obviously I'm getting really excited about this, and I'm trying to find a way to.
If you don't know what ray tracing is, look up ray tracing on YouTube. There you go. Move on. Essentially, it's the mapping of how light reacts to a 3D environment by actually tracing the rays of light bouncing off objects and interacting, which can create things like realistic reflections and, very interesting lighting. It can completely transform a game, like, through and through.
Yeah, but all we're doing is sitting at home pushing buttons. No point of being realistic.
we'll get to that.
One of the other demos that they showed, which was really cool, was one person spent 1 month adding real ray tracing or like genuine path tracing to Minecraft. And this looks amazing. Like they showed it off and then they switched it on. It's night and day. Like you can see light bouncing off, casting shadows through the different gaps in the bricks and bouncing off different materials and all these little reflections and light just, illuminating these little spots. It was like realism just got switched on. It's the same textures, it's the same basic environments, but the difference is crazy. And the cool thing about this whole ray tracing, hardware accelerated ray tracing thing, is that because it's hardware accelerated, all of the ray tracing rendering is done in a completely different part of the machine. So these 13 teraflops, or was it 12.15 teraflops that the machine has for general shading and rendering, what they've said is that if you were to put the ray tracing load, all of this crazy lighting stuff that it can do, on the main GPU, that ray tracing load alone, with all these numbers they threw in, would take up 13 teraflops.
13?
So the fact that this is more than the machine can actually do. So the fact that this is running separately alongside the 12 that it's already got means, in essence, you could say this machine has up to like 25 teraflops of power, which is
ridiculous,
insane.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing about that is that developers can use that for really cool like hybrid rendering type solutions. So you could have the ray tracing cores doing really like offload loads of the work to that, and then have the main GPU to process like the geometry and all that sort of stuff. And you're going to start seeing, once developers work out how to use that, some pretty insane stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's mad.
Yeah. The sort of stuff that's going to come out like towards the end of these consoles' life. My God, what are they going to look like?
Yeah.
Like you look at what The Last of Us looked like on the end of the PS3. You know, like the games towards the end of a console's lifespan are always ridiculously good looking, like Death Stranding and God of War on the PS4.
Control.
Mm-hmm.
Control looked like utter shite. Why is this becoming a podcast about Control again? Anyway, Dan, continue.
So the big one that everyone's talking about is the memory side of these new consoles.
Yeah, people are obsessed with this.
Because it's a massive deal.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I spend so much time deleting games on my Xbox because I just don't have enough memory.
You're going to have the same amount of memory, mate.
Oh. Oh, that's the big deal about it, because it's so small.
No.
Oh, okay.
just strap in, Kevin. Listen.
Okay. Collaborate and listen.
So Xbox has gone a slightly different way to PlayStation in the way they do expandable memory. First of all,
this is the thing that people have an issue with. This one.
Yeah, people have kind of got an issue with this. So Microsoft have gone for a proprietary, customly developed memory card type solution, which is an NVMe solid state hard drive in like a little metal box that you just slide into the back of your machine. It looks quite nice, actually. It's like a fancy little heavy metal branded thing.
Yeah, but the issue with it is the word proprietary. That's the main issue.
It's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
It's going to be really expensive.
Whereas, with a PlayStation 4, you could just buy as long as it was compatible, any sort of SSD, hard drive to replace the one in there and just follow the steps to do it sort of thing,
With the PS4 you could, but if you're comparing these two next generation consoles, in terms of what you'd have to pay to upgrade the memory, they're both going to be quite significant.
Yeah, no, I get that. But it's more the fact that it is proprietary and it's not just because if it was just you could put any SSD as expandable memory in it, any one you want, then it would be fine, more likely, because the as the market changes with SSDs as they get cheaper, so does expandable memory sort of thing. But if it's proprietary, they hold that market by the throat. They're just like, no, this is the one you need. You have to get this one.
True, they do have a bit more control about pricing, but at the same time, the cheaper they develop them, the more they're going to sell.
And this is Microsoft we're talking about. They don't care about money anyway.
Memory cards will go down in price. The other cool thing about these is you can basically hot swap them. You can save like 5 games to one and just unplug it like an old PS2 memory card and plug in another one that you've got on a shelf. So you can have like a library of games almost in like a physical format, in a way.
Yeah. And in terms of internal memory, it comes as 1 or 2 terabytes, isn't it?
I'm not sure about the 1-2 terabyte thing. I only saw 1, but there might be 2. I'm not sure. But it's the interesting and the breakthrough technology part of all of this is the architecture again that they're using. They're calling it Velocity. Just a code name, doesn't really mean anything. But
it means fast.
Yeah, essentially. What it can do. So there's a load of software and all these clever little APIs and stuff that are built into it that can do clever things such as analyze how textures are used on the screen inside of a game, outside of the game code completely. What they established is that only a really small percentage of the textures that you see in a game, or that are programmed into the game even, are actually needed and seen on the screen anyway. And it's clever enough to be able to work that out. And what it can do is put things that it does need into the really fast memory. So the built-in memory in these machines is crazy quick. Like the Xbox One is, 2.4 gigabytes a second with compression that goes up to like 6, which is really, really, really fast. That can basically be used like RAM.
Yeah.
It's so fast that it can be used as like RAM in your computer, so it can load lots of the really important game assets into this memory, and then games will just load in like split seconds. There'll be like no loading screens essentially on the Xbox at all. It also means that it can take things that it doesn't need and put them aside, get rid of them. Game files sizes might actually end up getting smaller, which means, Kevin, your issue with hard drive space might be resolved in that way instead, which is really cool. There's not going to be any duplicate files on hard drives anymore. It can. The long and short of it is they're saying that because it's smart, it can, and it's so fast that it can act like RAM memory. This could potentially act as a memory multiplier. So that 16 gigs you heard about earlier, imagine the 1 terabyte hard drive inside the machine kind of acting like a RAM storage solution in a way as well. Like, it's going to allow so much. It means better quality textures. It means more focused in textures. It means far better quality.
It also
visuals.
means that developers don't need to be as clever as they had to be before. So PlayStation showed a few examples of this, and I was listening to some other podcasts about it. And games through the last generations have been designed with specific spaces, picture kill rooms in Doom, for example. The kill room is textured and whatnot to look really good, and it had to be really clever to basically make it so that all the bits in between would give them time to load up the textures of the next bit and stuff like that. Whereas with this, because it's so bloody fast, the whole game can look magnificent. You're never going to go down a corridor and have to go, amazing, stunning set piece, and then go through a little dingy corridor to the next amazing, stunning set piece because you're waiting for that bit to load, sort of thing. Because it can load in that much that quickly, which is just insane.
Yeah, it'll be as fast as your character can turn around and look behind him. That entire scene behind you, no matter how detailed, will just be in memory and good to go at any time. It's pretty mad. It also allows this quick resume thing, which they showed off, which means you can basically suspend the game or several games. I think they showed like 5 at one point, 5 or 6 games, and then resume them from any point, back and forth. So you could be playing a racing game, you can press the home button or whatever it's called, choose another game that you paused a few hours ago, carry on playing that from where you left off in the space of like 3 seconds, and then just switch back and forth, which I think is going to be a really, really appreciated feature when people start using it. I think people are really going to like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to switch back and forth between like Minecraft and Call of Duty or whatever. And then it's also got full hardware backwards compatibility, and they showed obviously some old games running on it really nicely. Old games take advantage of 4K upscaling. Some of them have really clever HDR emulation implementation sort of things, so the lighting will be better, the dark's darker, the bright's brighter. Makes games look a lot better. So old games will benefit from all of this as well. 120Hz refresh rates, plus the variable refresh rates, which is cool tech.
Yeah, now we need to find some TVs that can run 4K 120 Hz.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, most of the current sets that people have don't have HDMI 2.1, which means they're not going to be able to take full advantage of this yet. But the cool thing about these consoles is both the developers are thinking forwards, kind of like the PS3 did with having Blu-ray involved. Nobody could really run Blu-ray properly at that point. It was such an expensive technology, but they were like, let's be ahead of the curve, which makes sense if it's going to be a 4 or 5 year console cycle. And then you've also got the controller latency, which has been dropped. Just a few milliseconds, but they found a way to rewrite the software, not change the protocol that it uses, which means that response times when you press buttons will feel so much snappier and so much quicker, basically immediate. And the cool thing about that is that firmware can be applied to old controllers too, so you can use an old Xbox One controller and get the same advantages, which is cool.
Yeah, they're trying to make it accessible in terms of hardware, and where you can use like any hardware on it, sort of thing, which is quite good.
Yeah, I think they're supporting mouse and keyboard now as well, aren't they?
Which is mad.
Anyway.
If they're supporting mouse and keyboard, I'm just like, why the fuck have I got this PC, man? Just like, what's the point?
Yeah, this with all of the built-in APIs and all this cool architecture that they designed and all of these really intelligent software solutions that are built into it, like all this machine learning stuff and all that, what we have in our desktop computers now isn't going to touch it.
No.
Like, with the games that have been developed for this console, this is going to be leagues ahead of anything we've seen before. It's really quite exciting. I didn't make that very user friendly at all. I'm talking way too much, but I don't care because I'm fucking excited about this.
No, keep going.
I'm sorry that wasn't very fun to listen to.
We're not done yet. We've got PlayStation now.
We've still got PlayStation to go. So PlayStation. Kevin's loving this. Kevin's like taking notes. He's got a
chalkboard in front of him.
That's literally what I was gonna say. Yeah,
all right, let's do the quick version of the Sony one because most things are pretty similar, aren't they?
Most things are pretty similar. Similar CPU, 8-core, 16-thread. Different way they're managing clock speeds. They've got variable, which means it's going to go up and down, which means fine-tuned, more efficient control potentially between the GPU, graphics, and the CPU. Gives developers a bit more flexibility. It's boost tech that we've not really seen before. It's based on... Anyway, it's boost tech, which the Xbox is not using. However, the hardware itself is pretty much the same with different speeds. Do you guys
find it weird that AMD are like, Xbox and Sony both go to AMD and we're like, we want you to make a processor for us, and they're like, okay, but then they have to make two slightly different ones for each of them.
I don't think it's as simple as that. It's like a joint venture. The AMD will make the chips for them, and they will send them the chips and send them the technology, and then the researchers and the scientists at both the respective companies, Xbox and Microsoft and Sony, will find ways to put all those components together and make them talk in the most efficient ways and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
The number that the PlayStation came out to, which is what everybody was talking about, is 10.28, which is 2 whole teraflops lower almost than the Xbox number. So immediately everyone was like, Xbox is way more powerful. Oh my god, PlayStation's dead. It's lost the war already. It didn't even exit the gate yet, and it's lost. Yeah, people were freaking out by that number. Bearing in mind that this talk was a weird one, it wasn't really for the consumers. It was supposed to be for the GDC audience, which is basically game developers. So it was very techy, very boring. But
you could say that again.
For most people, it wasn't. They didn't show any games, put it that way.
You didn't even show the bloody console. I was like, surely at the end of this they're going to show what the bloody console looks like.
It was all about the tech inside it and how developers.
I want to see that toasty machine on display, man. Come
on. Now, about the teraflops number again, I really like Digital Foundry's quote on this, that teraflops is a metric. It's just a calculated number. It's not equivalent to performance at all, and I think we need to bear that in mind going into this generation. Just because one has 2 more teraflops than the other one doesn't mean shit, because the technologies that they're using are quite vastly different in other areas. This boosting thing, I won't go deeply into it, mainly because I'm too stupid to understand most of it, but secondly because it has so much potential that I don't want to not do it justice in terms of what it could do and how much control it could give developers to make their games really, really nice.
I mean, the other argument with teraflops as well, though, is that if it's a metric based on your clock speeds, yeah?
And a few other things.
Yeah, but so if I went out and bought the best graphics card on the market and stuck it in my computer, my teraflops would go up by quite a bit, yeah?
Yeah.
But if I've still got a shit processor, it doesn't mean anything.
You mean, yeah, if you bottlenecked your hardware in other places.
Yeah, that's the whole teraflop argument doesn't hold up. Like you can have one, you can't say a football team is the best football team on the planet just because it has one really good player. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's quite a good analogy.
So teraflops is not really a good argument in reality.
Well, potentially, because of this boost technology that they're using, although the overall teraflops is going to be lower, it means that the PlayStation processor could get to some crazy high clock speeds, like in terms of how fast it processes things, rather than how much it processes, which can, in its own way, be massively beneficial. And it also opens up other areas like memory bandwidth, which we'll talk about in a minute. Again, it's got hardware accelerated ray tracing in its own sort of separate area of the console, AMD focused again. The big thing about this was the SSD. So Sony have said from the get-go that they're developing their own storage drive technology. The transfer rate of this is unbelievable. It's like witchcraft as far as I'm concerned. The aim is for basically no load screens at a minimum. So it's going to be like 1 second black screens, absolute minimum. Hopefully less than that. Everything will be instant, which is cool. And, nobody wants to waste time looking at load screens. The transfer rate, I said that the Xbox One was 2.4, I think. Basically out of the box, 2.4 gigabytes per second. Out of the box without any of the extra stuff on top and the tech that they're using. The Sony one is 5.5, which is faster than anything on the market.
And is that not compressed then?
Nope.
That's
the standard.
Ridiculous.
8 to 9 after compression.
Yeah.
That's faster than anything we have ever seen before in any grade of SSD in any PC ever, and that's quite remarkable. It uses its own separate custom design processing units and all this to handle all of that memory bandwidth, and again, it can act as a memory multiplier. When I say memory multiplier, I mean like a RAM multiplier, essentially. Again, at crazy speeds. And it has all the benefits that the Xbox stuff does, but they seem to be focusing hard on this. And looking at these speeds, people are starting to see why that is, why this is so important, and developers are suddenly, the light bulbs are going off, and they're going, oh my god, this is something else. This could completely change the gaming landscape.
But that's why I asked earlier whether SSD is a factor in teraflops, because I was like, I'm sure the PlayStation SSD is a lot faster than the Xbox one, so I don't quite understand how the teraflops are lower. But if it's not, then that kind of almost settles the argument a little bit, doesn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? Well, like, it's two less teraflops, fine. But if you've got an extra 3 gigabytes on SSD clock speed, read speed, is it read speed, right?
Read
write speed, whatever. Yeah. On the Xbox, that's a big deal, man.
It's gonna change, as you say. It's gonna change how games are made completely. The fact that the Xbox is fast as well helps. It means that cross-platform games will be really good too. But I think we're gonna see some of the top-end developers, like Naughty Dog, for example, who potentially will keep making Sony exclusive games, really take advantage of this. We're going to see some pretty nutty stuff. Their expandable memory is also pretty fast. Rather than making their own memory cards that you just plug in, you would basically go to a shop and buy an NVMe hard drive, like a solid state hard drive, off the shelf. And providing it's supported with the minimum specs that they need, I don't know whether they're going to test it when you plug it in or whatever. Then you can install any NVMe solid state hard drive, which basically looks like a RAM chip if you've never seen one before, like a stick of memory. Just like a PCB with little black chips.
You're making it more confusing.
Sorry.
It's a green stick that goes into a slot.
Basically, yeah. The problem with that at the moment is that it requires a PCIe 4.0. I know I'm saying all these words and numbers and letters.
That was the slots that I aforementioned.
Thank you, Ben. This is working. The PCIe 4, yeah, it's a slot. It's the protocol that it would use to communicate with the machine, but it's also a type of slot.
It is also where the green stick goes into said machine.
That's the PCIe 4.0 port. Yes, that is correct. The problem is that there aren't really any PCIe 4.0 memory. What was that?
Huh?
What?
Did nobody hear that noise?
No.
Am I losing my mind? Where the hell did that come from? My speakers just like sung a song at me. They went beep beep in like this really harmonic. Are you telling me that wasn't one of you guys? What the hell was that?
You think Kevin can sing? No.
I'm so.
Hey.
I thought one of you were trolling me, man.
No. All right, go. Continue.
That was weird. I hope that comes through in the recording. So you need to buy one of these hard drives. They don't exist in the consumer space yet, but when they do come out, they're going to be super fast. They may eventually overtake the built-in memory speeds of the Sony console, potentially.
Yeah, but that's standard, isn't it? Of a 6-7 year
standard.
generation. That's going to be, yeah.
Well, yeah, sooner than that probably. But it's cool because it means you can buy any hard drive from any manufacturer that makes this type of hard drive, which means you can shop around, find the cheapest prices. They also focused heavily on 3D audio, which seems to be a really big deal. They've put tons of research into this, which is essentially audio that's designed to put you into the game a hell of a lot more. So they're doing something called HRTF, which is head-related transfer function. It means they take like a fingerprint of the inside of your ears and your skull to work out how sound actually moves from the source into your brain, basically.
Just for context, they don't actually do this. They take they've got a demographic of people, and there are presets based on averages of these people. They're not going to actually take a picture of your ear.
There's a chance they've said there's a chance they may end up doing that as some kind of service.
Oh.
So they're really going in hard in this. So you may actually be able to send photographs or get your own HRTF, your own fingerprint taken, which means that the sound will basically be perfect when you're inside the game. It's also got all these crazy processing engines which allow individual sources of sound to be rendered. One example that somebody gave was being in like a rainy environment and hearing the rain coming down all around you. We kind of have surround sound for that now, but with this kind of technology, you'll be able to render the sounds of the individual drops of rain hitting the different surfaces around you.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard to picture why that's important and why that's immersive, but it will be. And they're putting a ton of research into this. When a console comes out, it's going to be supported with headphones, but later on, they're saying that they should be able to have this crazy immersive sound effect with home sound systems and TVs as well. It's an ongoing technological thing. The only thing that I would say, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, is go and play Hellblade, because that uses binaural audio use headphones with it, and it does it to pretty good effect, and that's very primitive, and that actually sounds like you have voices in your head. Ben, you'll be able to.
Yep. I mean, for simple people, Dolby Atmos, which is the most widely used surround sound thing currently, is, I think, it basically mimics 20 speakers around you, and Sony's one mimics something like 1,000 or something stupid like that. Like 1,000 tiny speakers around your head. Imagine that level of accuracy as to where sound is coming from. That's their goal, essentially.
And Call of Duty will still manage to fuck it up.
Yeah, the developers need to put a ton of work to get this to work properly, but Activision would not be with someone that's going to do it right, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's basically the long short of it.
Cool. Dan, where are you slinging your hook? At the moment, just give me, come on, gut feeling. What are you going?
Sony.
Kevin?
I mean, from everything I've seen online, it seems the main place that people are going towards is Xbox, because they just seem as if it's a lot better.
It's got more teraflops.
So Kevin clearly hasn't listened to anything you said, Dan.
I'm sorry, yeah, but you were just saying so many numbers of... You know what? All I could hear is flop. Just flop everywhere. This is a teraflop here, a teraflop there. You know, it was literally Chinese. So, you know what? If I do get one, it will probably be a long time until I get one because I have my PC and I don't really see the point of getting either of them at the moment.
I've got a holiday booked to Barbados and one to the Maldives and one to Zimbabwe.
At least I'll go on holiday.
Alright. That's a bit mean, really, isn't it? You know,
so,
taking a piss out of the guy on lockdown.
So, flop.
Alright, and I'm slinging my hook about...
Sony fanboy.
No. I'm going to get a PlayStation regardless. Because Xbox don't have the exclusives, and that is just a fact. That is a fact of the matter. Sony care about games a lot more than Xbox do. Or they just care about different types of games. Xbox just like these online sociable games and stuff like that, whereas I'm more of a single-player gang guy, you know, so...
They do have some decent singles, don't they? Singles?
They do. They have lots of sexy singles in my area.
Okay.
And that's it. Any more news? Are we still on news?
The only other news I've got is... No, that's it.
Cool. And that is the end of Praise the Pickle News podcast. That was really interesting. I'm glad I heard you talk about that, to be honest, because, like Kevin said, everywhere online is basically saying PlayStation is done for. Whereas just hearing you talk about it just makes me realise that is not the case at all. So
I also saw a side-by-side table of the things that PlayStation have and the things that Xbox have, and it was basically saying every single thing that they both have, only PlayStation beat them in one thing. Going by what this table... Obviously, I don't know whether or not this table was showing the full picture.
I mean...
Because the only thing I saw of it was this table.
Yeah, but if that one thing... I'm assuming that one thing is the SSD. If the SSD is running at 3 gigabytes a second faster, regardless of whether they're beating them in one thing or not, that is a freaking big deal. Like... That you know, okay, the I don't know, the processor is what 2 hertz fast, 0.2 hertz faster on the Xbox, which, you know, these are minor things that they're winning in inverted commas in, but 3 gigabytes a second more on an SSD, that's big, man, that's big. Big, so big. And I feel like people are just ignoring that. They're just looking at it as if it's a checklist, and it's not, you know. But
it's not a number comparison at this point. Because it's all about the architecture and the research that they put into these consoles. It's going to come down to the
price,
effective use. It will come down to the price a lot in terms of what sells more. But yeah, it's gonna. I'm hearing clicking.
That's my fingers.
Click. Sorry. Yeah.
It's going to be a big year.
It's going to come down to... It's going to be a big year if it comes out this year, which it might.
Well, they're adamant. Sony are adamant it's still coming out this year. That's last I heard. But anyway, that's the end of the podcast. Kevin, if people want to follow us on any social media or leave us any feedback or just love us unconditionally, how do they do it?
Well, you can pop over to Instagram, which is Praise the Pickle Podcast.
Yeah.
You can go to Facebook or Twitter, which is Praise the Pickle.
Yeah.
Or you can drop us a little email thing, which is praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com.
.com indeed. Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one. Keep your ears and eyes peeled for Praise Pickle Retrospect coming to a cinema or podcast listening platform near you in this week. I lost my train of thought completely. Yeah. This is so clean, man. So clean. Love you. Leave you until the next one. Toodles.
Pickle, chickle, chickle, pickle.